Hey, what's up, everybody? It's just Charles. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And this episode right here may be one of the funniest episodes that we covered in a while. So before we get into the video, make sure you go and like the video and subscribe to the channel. Anyway, let me get into this here because I'm going to have a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of fun producing this story here, and I think is one of the funnier stories we've covered in quite some time. Now, one of the things we constantly get on our channel on a consistent, reoccurring basis is this. If you guys don't talk about LeBron James or the Los Angeles Lakers, you can't get views, right? What would you do if you didn't talk about LeBron James and the Lakers, blah, 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 blah. We get those comments all the time. It is nauseating. And usually, these comments come from some of our viewers who get upset when some of our videos do well. But since they can't say, hey, man, I don't like you because your video did well, what they're going to say is, man, the only way y'all get views, y'all talk about the Lakers and LeBron James. They over there paying your bills, right? And that's what usually happens. Since they can't outright call us trash, they say the only way you can get views is through some type of hack. Like we're hacking our ways to views. But whenever we produce videos, they do very well. These guys are nowhere to be found. You can't find these dudes. You don't know where they are. And I've told them, we've tried to reason with these people on numerous occasions, like, listen, I get it. I know that you think that the only way for people on YouTube to get views, especially if they're going to be covering the NBA, is to talk about the Lakers and LeBron. I get that you think that, but that's not really the case. That's not where the majority of our views come from, right? There are other things that we cover that people are more interested in, but you just have this story in your mind that the only way you can get views on YouTube is through LeBron or the Lakers, and you just try to superimpose that, superimpose that notion on everybody else and say, no, y'all, that's what, no. And then we try to tell them, but what can you do? A hater's a hater and they can't be reasoned with. So what am I supposed to say? I've always said that, listen, trash is trash. Trash content is trash content no matter what you're talking about. If you suck, you won't succeed. It is that simple. If you like, you can talk about LeBron and the Lakers all day long. But if people don't think you're good, they're just not going to watch. And I always laughed at the notion that people will be throwing that in our direction, but they wouldn't throw it in the direction of big corporate sports media. They will be throwing it at individual creators, but they don't send those type of sentiments to these guys. And I've laughed at this notion because ESPN and FS1 really need to talk about LeBron James and the Lakers all the time, especially FS1. At least ESPN tries to put out a variety of content and try to make it consistent in some way, shape, or form. For instance, if you look at ESPN First Take, they now have this ensemble cast with Mad Dog Russo, JJ Redick, you have Stephen A. Smith, now you have Patrick Beverly, you have Kendrick Perkins, you have Tim Legler, and all of these guys are coming in there with different views and trying to make things interesting. Whereas, for instance, if you give you Undisputed, for example, they're going to talk, you know, three things are going to happen. Right? As they say, there are two things in life you can't escape: death and taxes. Well, the third one is ESPN Undisputed talking about LeBron and the Cowboys and the Lakers. That's it. You know it's going to happen no matter what. I've seen them talk about, oh, did you see what LeBron was, somebody would do this, and what do you think LeBron would mean if he tweeted this? Do you think LeBron did this? LeBron was sipping a glass of wine. What did he really mean by drink? Like, come on. Like, cut it out, right? And now it seems as if some NBA fans on Twitter are basically calling out these major networks for talking about the Lakers during the Eastern Conference and Western Conference Finals, and now even talking about them, right before the NBA Finals. And we're getting this via article through via sportsrush.com. So let me just quickly get into this article here. It basically says, having a top sports news platform to which countless people look live before, after, and while watching games doesn't suffice to them to reporting what's going on. They don't even let their agenda slide when it's one of the most important games of the season. Continues, NBA Twitter roasts Stephen A. Smith and ESPN for bringing up LeBron James and the Lakers before Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. During the Eastern Conference Finals Game 7 between the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics, Stephen A. Smith ran a segment that said expectations for the rest of LeBron James's career. And then the article continues on. You heard it. ESPN ran that segment about the Lakers superstar from the West Coast before the Eastern Conference game of the season, tried to make sense of it. NBA Twitter couldn't. One guy said, 1 hour. It's a 1 hour pre-show. They got to fill airtime. Somebody else said you could easily spend the bulk of that time talking about two teams in the Eastern Conference and how they match up with the Warriors. Sprinkle in some draft buzz. There are 30 teams. The Lakers were one of the bad ones. They don't need any more airtime. And obviously, some people still, and one other guy says, sad that they have to use that man's name every chance they get. They should be discussing the game that's about to be played more instead of bringing up Braun. The hell is going on, right? So that's what one of the people said. Now, let me quickly say this. Some people come to our channel, hey man, why don't you talk about the Eastern Conference Finals and blah, 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 blah. You should be talking about this. You should be talking about that, blah, blah, blah. Here's what I think is hilarious in all of this. I think some fans are hypocrites, if I'm being honest. We got to call it like it is, man. What I've noticed is that people will complain to the high heavens that they are not interested in hearing about the Lakers or LeBron, right? But the moment an interesting story comes out, these guys flock to it like a bunch of flies on top of you know what. They just cannot resist hearing about one of these stories, and these networks know this. They are not stupid. The Lakers and LeBron have a huge following and it drives ratings. So whenever fans say we are tired of this and that, you think that those networks would be up there producing content around the Los Angeles Lakers and LeBron James, and they know it wouldn't be rating well with Nielsen scan or whatever it is, and then they'll still keep doing it? Are you freaking kidding me? There was even a segment on ESPN First Take, and I believe one of their analysts was saying, we're talking about the Lakers again. And I think Molly Karam was basically like, yeah, we got to talk about them. She's like, they're one of our, I forgot the term that she used, but basically she was saying like, listen, you talk about the Lakers, you're guaranteed to get some good ratings. So these guys know what they're doing. The hilarious part of it is while people complain, they still watch. Fans say one thing and do something totally different, irrespective of what they're saying. And these networks know it. And I think, to me, it is hilarious. As we did in the earlier video before, according to Google Trends, the Lakers was one of the most searched terms in the United States last year. And the networks know this. People are going to watch no matter how much they complain. But I just think it's hilarious that the NBA Twitter community is calling them out for it, basically saying, we're tired, please. Can we talk about the NBA Finals? We're tired of talking about the Lakers. It's hilarious. But the irony in all of it is people are still going to watch them regardless of how much they cry about it. So the question to you guys is, what are your thoughts about people complaining about the networks always talking about the Lakers, especially during the NBA Finals? Catch you guys on the next episode. Peace.